Hey everyone, welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sam Popple, along with my co-host, William McClellan. What's going on today, Will?
Dude, not too much. Pretty excited having our a guest come back on today, but talking about something we didn't get into. So really excited.
Yeah, so Mike Hamby was definitely definitely a great guest for us in the past, and we're excited to have him back on today. He is a very experienced flipper. Started off with Home Investors, now has his own business all on his own as far as fix and flipping goes. The guy's steadily flipping houses all the time. Always has tons of projects. Always has tons of deal flow. So much to learn from Mike. And today, one of the exciting topics we're going to talk to him about is how he started his mastermind. Because one of the things that a lot of the great people who write real estate books talk about is one of the ways you can build your group or build up an audience and build up deal flow is to start a meetup or mastermind. And Mike took action on that. Will and I both attended his mastermind. Love it. And we just want to hear more about how he did it, because full transparency, we think we're going to start some meetups at some point this year here locally in the Pensacola area. So without further ado, let's bring on Mike Hamby and learn about his deal finders.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Good to see you again.
What's going on?
Thanks for being on, dude.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So you guys want to dive into it? I mean, Mike, if you guys haven't listened to Mike's episode, Home Investors franchisee, just absolutely crushing it. Just like Sam said, go check out his episode 25, because this one's going to kind of be all about starting your own meetup. So yeah. What kind of inspired you to start this mastermind, and what kind of separated it from making it a mastermind versus just like a meetup, and like what, or first tell us the name of it and like how you got into it.
So the name of it is Pensacola Deal Hunters. And I started it because most of the meetups that you attend is all seminar based. Like they'll have a speaker talk for 30 minutes and then networking before and after. And I think there's great value in that, and they have very large attendances. But I was looking for a group that would be around 10 to 20 people, and I wanted everybody to talk about what they're working on in their business, and then we just help each other. So I got this idea from when I was in Home Investors. We had about 12 franchisees in Columbus, Ohio, and we would do this once a month. And everybody gets 3 minutes to talk about their business. When we were at Home Investors, we had a template to where like, what is your cost per lead? What is your cost per buy? Tell us something about appointment that you just went on. And then like a skill, like a sales skill that you use to overcome an objection. Or is there a problem with a rehab that you need help from the group on? And we all just helped each other that way. And the idea is like, we're all entrepreneurs. We have our own business. But it's like other companies, if you work for a corporation or something, you have hundreds of people that you can talk to. But in this lone wolf world, who do you refer to for questions? Maybe you have a mentor, but this is like a group aspect so that we can all help each other. And that's the cool thing about Pensacola. I haven't noticed it in every city, but certain cities that I've worked in is everybody's really glad to help each other. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, we're competitors, but, we realize there's enough deals out there that we can all learn something from each other and help each other.
Yeah, dude, no doubt. I got to say, that's something that I've really, really enjoyed. I've gone to Mike's mastermind a number of times now, and just the fact that everyone gets to present and just talk about their deals, that was something that really set it apart. And that's why I really, really like it. And we wanted you to talk about it because, with that seminar based, when there's time at the beginning or end, you might be able to connect with a handful of people, even if you're really great at networking. It's just like everyone's kind of back and forth and things like that. So the fact that you get to hear about everyone that's sitting at the table just instantly connects you. And that's something that I think is just so cool.
I definitely agree with that because some of the meetups that we attend that kind of have a like a lesson agenda in the beginning and stuff. But we all love to learn those lessons, but by the time you finish learning it, taking the notes, and taking it all in, sometimes your networking energy is as dissipated, because you're taking taking the notes. So I do like that about Mike's, that his is geared towards making the connections, with people, and that's how he starts it off every time. It's like I said, I mean, telling people about yourself and what you do, so that way everyone immediately, as I know from my experience when I was there, people were kind of making, as I said, we're making eye contact with me, like, hey, like I want to talk to you afterwards. I want to talk to you. And so that was kind of cool from right off the rip. But what were you hoping to achieve when you started it?
It's mainly exactly that, is like, I want to strengthen the relationships that I have with my colleagues that are also real estate investors and see how we can work together. I call it Pensacola Deal Hunters because I really want people to talk about what deal they have. If they have an assignment deal available, I want them to present it, face to face, because it lands differently than just seeing an email from somebody that you've never met before. It's a different pitch when you can shake somebody's hand. Early in my career, when I was a real estate agent, there's a client I worked for. He said he had a rule. He never does business with anybody that he can't shake their hand. And I love that. It's like man to man, woman to woman. It's there's a bond there of doing business that people like and trust.
Oh no, I completely agree. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that, like, being able to start something like this obviously it's a big lift, right? And I've gotten to know Mike, I feel like pretty well, like in the last just 2 months, which has been really cool. And that's something that I really just love about this podcast, is just kind of being able to connect with people and then doing that same thing, finally getting to shake his hand, check everything out. But what were some of those like initial challenges you faced of getting this group off the ground? And if someone wanted to do it, because I know there must be just so much work on the back end that everyone, even the people that attend, probably don't even think about. They're just like, oh, this is kind of what happens. This is what we're just doing. But like Sam had mentioned, we're kind of looking at starting something, but we know there's a ton of work into it. So I would like you to kind of go into detail of like the beginning steps. I know you had mentioned that you did this with home investors, and that was kind of the idea to get the ball rolling, but doing it on your own and starting and taking the initiative and then building it and being, a great communicator. Like, can you
let's add in, Will, that Mike is not from Pensacola.
Dude, he's another great point.
He does put that in, that he moved here and he's starting this from like, you're a well-liked guy, Mike, so I'm sure you made friends quickly. But did you have a lot of friends to start, or is it like really from scratch?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Like I've been in Pensacola for 4 years, so I definitely knew a lot of people. But to take it, I got the idea from home investors, but there was probably 3 years before I actually implemented the idea, and I was reminded of it when I went to a conference like a year and a half ago, and they're like, to become the expert in your community, start a meetup. And there's so many intangibles that come from that, just being the host, that you can't quantify. It happens when it happens. But over the course of time, you can quantify it. So like I look at my deals that I did last year, did 27 deals, 7 of them came from referrals. So how can we tap into that more? This is a great avenue to do that. And whether or not you get a deal, you still get the knowledge of just conversing with other people and strengthening those relationships. And then when they have a problem or they have a deal, they think of you first, because you've shared.
So big time.
So on your first meetup, because I think this is one of the things everyone's a little worried about, how many people showed up, and how, and if it was, I'm thinking it was probably very small. So like, how'd you kind of kick through that perseverance to like grow it,
Yeah, I think the first one, it was like 8 people. I have a pretty core tight of people that I talk to on a weekly basis about something. and it stems a lot from Caleb Drake started a team, and I was on his team for a bit, and those are some of the tightest people that are around my age that we connected a lot.
We've had Caleb on the podcast, just for the listeners that maybe didn't hear that, as a team, under his brokerage or as a real estate team, or was this just a team of investors who were flipping, or who's that core group that you're talking about?
So I'm still a real estate agent, and Caleb Drake has a real estate agent team. So I joined his team, and there's probably like 8 or 10 of us, and we're all kind of around the same age. So we clicked well.
Oh, that's awesome. Now they're all investors, or they're more traditional agents?
They're all agents, but they have some kind of investor tie, like whether they've done a deal, maybe they own a rental property. That's kind of what Caleb Drake is all about.
Sweet.
So, but yeah, let me think here. So the one core thing I want to say about the group that I'm very strict on is we've had masterminds where there's 20 people there, and I want to restrict the time to 1 hour total. So I do a time clock on everybody. So depending on how many people there, I give them 3 minutes to talk about whatever they want to talk about. And I want it to be uninterrupted. And then after that 3 minutes, I put another minute on, and that is for questions and collaboration. I extend it, if conversation is flowing, I extend it. But if it's starting to get a little dry, I enforce that. One of my biggest pet peeves is being at networking meetings. People just talk. They can talk for 15 minutes and not take a breath. And so I have that alarm, making it a sound so that I'm like, hey, wrap it up. We got 9 other people that want to talk. So that keeps us on track. And I want to get out in 1 hour. I don't want people got stuff to do. They got to go home to dinner with their family. So I want to be strict on that.
Yeah, that's a great take as far as efficiency goes, because I think we've all been to that meeting where someone just likes hearing themselves, but they're not giving us the juice, not giving us the game for it. So,
no, dude, I love it. You have the timer on, and then also talk about the secondary timer. I really like the fact that you have 2 timers for people.
Yeah, the secondary timer that's the time if somebody heard something that they were talking about in their first 3 minutes, I want them to write it down in their notebook and then talk about it. Ask the question in the 1 minute. Maybe it's an add value, like, oh, you had a question about starting a website. This is what I did. Or maybe it's a question on how did you learn that you could split this lot, and then let's collaborate at that time.
Yeah, no, I love it. The double timer to present, and then also a time to get feedback and collaboration. It's really, really cool. I think what you've done is so unique, and I always look forward to going every week. So,
you touched on how many people I had starting the group.
I was about to follow up on that. Yeah.
One thing I heard at the conference that inspired me to do this 1.5 years ago was of course we all want that group with 30 people there, and we've gotten close to that, but that's not. If I don't get close to that, I'm not let down. I don't care. Honestly, if I've had times when 1 to 2 people show up, and I'm like, all right, now we're diving in really deep, one-on-one, 3 people, and we get rid of the timer and we just have a conversation. And those have been some of the best meetings because we go in way deeper than you can in such a large group.
Yeah, so you kind of get some quality over quantity, with when the group becomes smaller. How has it evolved over time since you started it?
I think one of our biggest challenges was finding a place to go and have because I don't want to spend money to rent a room or anything. And so I just pitched to businesses hey, I'm telling everybody to buy drinks or whatever. We just would like a quiet area to sit. So we started off meeting at a coffee shop, and it was just too loud. So we went to a different coffee shop, and they wanted to charge me a fee. I'm like,
really?
We'll just take it somewhere else. It's 10 coffees. that you're not going to get.
Yeah, that seems so crazy that they would say that. It was a local shop too?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I'm like, there's not anybody in here anyways. Like, I don't understand. But and then we went to another. We started.
Clean Eats is open. Clean Eats is open at 4 p.m. If you space, like that's a slow time.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Then we went to a bar. I wanted a nicer establishment to do, so I could start inviting lawyers or like other real estate agents. And that's the thing. Like, this is open to any real estate professional. I don't care about experience. If you're a newbie, we'll help you out. If you're experienced, you're going to provide a lot of value to us. Maybe it's not worth it to you, but maybe it is. Maybe you get a deal out of it. I know one guy, he bought 2 deals out of this last year, and he's a very experienced guy. And then, so where we're at now, we landed. I think it's a good fit. And the biggest challenge now is sometimes they forget that we're coming and they book an event, and then we all show up there and we got to move across the street. But that's it. I mean, I don't put a lot of time into this. I have an email list that I send the calendar invitation out. There's like 150 people on the list, but we're usually around 10 people every time. And yeah, I send an email out. That's it, and then I show up. That's all I do for it.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. So that kind of answered into my next question of how you've seen the group kind of evolve over time, but it seems it's more of an ebb and flow. You get a relatively consistent number around 10 people, and that's kind of the core group that started. But how many people do you typically, talk to or reach out to kind of get those consistent numbers week to week?
So I send an email reminder out every week just to remind people. But if like last week we had very low attendance, so that means I need to post it back in the real estate investor Facebook groups. And whenever I do that, we get back up to 10 and we'll be good for a few weeks. And then once I see the attendance getting lower again, I keep doing that into the Facebook groups, and it keeps it up and alive.
Awesome.
That's definitely a good way to do it. What's been like one of the best deals that you've gotten out of the group?
Yeah, I like that.
I think that's something people want to hear, like, because a lot of people think like, man, I'm doing this group, there's not kind of like a revenue structure, like what's it worth to me? But I like to point out to people sometimes, like, it's not in being a transactional type of situation, it's just into putting it out, and then the deal flow comes in. So yeah, what do you think? I mean, I know there's probably a number of them, but like, yeah, what's one that kind of sticks out to you that was just a killer deal that you got because of this group?
Well, the biggest value, I don't think I bought a deal from anybody, but I am seeing them again. Like, sometimes I'll see the email, I'll miss the email, and then I get to dive in deeper if that person comes to the mastermind. I don't think I've personally bought one, and I'm fine with that. People have done deals amongst each other. But my biggest value that I've got it from is that support group. So like last fall was extremely tough, market changing conditions. Yeah. So to be able to go in and just vent, like, hey, I suck at business right now. Is it me? And then everybody's like, nah, I'm seeing this in the market. So it's that collaboration to keep that mental fortitude at a high producing level. That's, for me, it's been the biggest value.
Okay, cool. Because I was going to say, like, what's the most rewarding? But it sounds like the most rewarding is just the collaboration, kind of what you were talking about at the very beginning. Like, if you work for a big corporation, you have hundreds of people, or at least, 10 to 50 people in your department that you can talk to day in and day out. And this kind of gives you, where we're operating most of the time, kind of like lone wolves out there. It's a good place that you can kind of create fellowship and things like that.
Yeah. And I think it's a matter of time before we all do deals with each other. Like, even Will, I feel like I got to know you better because you came to it, and I kicked that land deal over to you, and you're able to tell me exactly immediately if it's a deal or not, and if I didn't have you, I would have had to spend time on research, call the county, so it's that leveraging relationships.
Dude, totally. Yeah. And hopefully we'll get a deal together. I know we were just talking about, I think maybe it was Saturday. I got a connection and there might be a deal downtown that could work for all of us. So yeah, even if a no deal comes out, it's just that knowledge base. You know, I mean, I know very little about finding the deal and doing a complete rehab. And I know that's like, boom, that's your specialty, you know.
Yeah.
But if it comes to new construction or a land deal, like I'm super in. So
Yeah.
I'd love to do a couple flips with you, and then maybe you'd love to do a couple new construction with us. And you know, so I love it, dude. The group has been extremely valuable for me. So I can only imagine for you, the organizer.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to all networking groups in general. Like you
Yeah.
can't quantify it off of just a few goings, but
Mhm.
over the course of time, there's a soft value effect, you know, over time that's like when you need that person, you already know that person because you've done the time to network.
Heck yeah.
Right.
So when you're in, I know you're saying you get it's pretty intimate space, which I think is super cool. And you have this really unique format, the timed format, so everyone kind of sees what everyone's doing. Is there a typical flow within conversation, like of topics, or is it different week to week? You know, what are the pros and cons of that? Like, do you guys kind of see the same thing, or is there a new deal every week? You know, what if I was someone new, or if I'm a listener and I'm interested in coming, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I start the meeting out the same way every time with a little intro. I explain the format, and then I open it up. If anybody has an assignment deal to pitch, you can go first. So that's where I want the group to lead. But if nobody has a deal, then all right, just tell me whatever you're working on. And we end up usually focusing on one thing because somebody will say a problem that they're having, and then the next person goes and they have the same problem. So there's kind of a theme throughout the group of what everybody wants to talk about, but it's not planned at all. I don't want to spend time preparing for this meetup or mastermind. So we'll just see what happens. It's people talking to people, you know.
No,
What,
dude, that's
what are some of the typical topics that come up, and maybe like some of the topics that keep coming up?
Yeah, I know the one that I just mentioned was the website. There's been quite a few people
yeah.
trying to figure that out, and people have had experience. Some people will succeed, and some people have failed at trying the same thing. That's a recent one. I know the fall was just about market conditions, and it's really nice. You know, we've had Tori Borges on there. That's an expert as a real estate agent, and she sheds great light on data from market analysis of what's going on in the Pensacola area. So to have real estate investors that don't have a license, don't have access to that data, they get a glimpse at Tori to see her expert knowledge. And then now she becomes the expert if they have a question like, hey, Tori, could you run an analysis on this? And she can do that just because she's given and then it comes back around to her.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I know that one was a tough one. There's just like there's so much cool information, and it's vast because everyone kind of has their own niche, and I think is cool. The one that stands out the most is last meeting, or maybe second to last meeting that I was at. Someone was talking about jet rental companies. You know, it's like all these cool entrepreneur ideas, and he's like, yeah, I was doing a whole bunch of research on leasing jets, and I was like, whoa, that is like something that I'm not really familiar with. And he was talking about like this jet leasing concierge service, and I was like, man, I'm trying to get on that level where I'm just buying a couple of private jets that I'm leasing. So I know that was a bit of an outlier, but it is cool. Just each week, it's exciting seeing new people, new faces, new connections like that. So
yeah, that was Jonathan Cook. Have you all had him on this?
No, I've invited him, so I need to ping him again. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, that dude's an absolute absolutely crushing it. I mean, he's probably one of the biggest players in Pensacola. He's got the flooring business that started it and can being a general contractor, and now he's getting in more into flipping and building himself. I mean, he's an absolute force.
Oh, dude, he's an animal. Yeah, he was like, when I was talking to him, he forgot how many lots he had. He's building like 7 houses, new construction, flipping like 10. He has the floor business, and then he's like constantly buying more. I was like, oh man, but I'd never met him, and I'd never really heard of him, even being in a smaller metro area. But right there, it's a perfect example of what kind of value you've brought and the people that are attending these meetups. So I think that's awesome. So that's a pretty good transition into my next question, because I was going to ask, like, who's the target audience for this group? But I mean, there's people from all walks of life coming. So, but do you have kind of a niche that you're focusing on specifically? I know you mentioned earlier it's open to anyone doing real estate, but you're also doing it at a really cool location now, to attract lawyers and other entrepreneurs. But do you have an ideal person that you're like reaching out or pitching the group to?
For me, why I called it Pensacola Deal Hunters, because I want those wholesalers to come and pitch their deals.
Yeah.
But I think there's value from every type of person that comes in. Whether they're a big dog like Jonathan, he's just going to spread knowledge. And he even sent me a deal to look at last week, and I checked it out.
Nice.
And some of those bigger guys, you can form relationships as private money lenders that way, or kick them deals, after you know who they are, what they're looking for. And even the newbie investors, they're just starting, and I still want them to come, because we can catapult them further than if they're just learning from YouTube University. But sometimes they fall into deals and they don't know what to do. I mean, it took me 6 months to buy my first deal. But when you kick deals over to people that have been doing it for a long time, they know the answer right away. And if you can JV on a deal that way, it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah, dude, no doubt. So I know we kind of talked about the typical format of things, but for the listeners out there, since this is more of a mastermind, can you talk a little bit about how often you meet and like what's the best strategy? Like if I was really trying to get after a deal and I wanted to make my connections, what's my best avenue to work with you and your group, and what does that look like month to month?
Yeah, so we meet weekly, except for when the Investor Collective, led by Caleb Drake, has their meeting. So they meet once a month on a Thursday. We meet on every other Thursday at 4 p.m. So I wanted it to be during business hours, because I don't like to work after business hours.
I love it.
I initially started this at noon to keep it then. And it didn't matter to me, like 12 o'clock or 4, it's the same for me. And no matter what time you select, there's going to be a few people that like, oh, I wish I could make that. I just can't make it. Could you do this time? And I'm just like, no, this is convenient for me. This is when I want to have it. So if you can make it, great. If not, maybe we'll change it one day. But there's just too many people we can't make everybody happy.
Sure. No doubt.
No, that definitely makes a lot of sense. It kind of goes into a little bit what we were talking about, offline before the show about, how a lot of people have different meetups that are at, in the evenings during the week. And then, yours is, more in the kind of later afternoon time, and how, Will and I are possibly talking about, doing more of a Monday one, just because, what works for some person doesn't work for another person. Other people have preferences, so it's, like I said, so doing a meetup, I think whenever it's, convenient for you as the host to stay consistent, because I think that's probably one of my biggest takeaways is like you as the host, you just got to be able to be consistently, hosting it and showing up to it and having it. You will build those followers, which, you, as you said, you have a pretty core group that meets with you regularly, and then, a bunch of people that kind of, come in and out based on when it fits.
Yeah, totally agree. It's all about consistency. I mean, just look at what you guys are doing with this podcast. how many podcasts fail after doing 6, and how many you guys have now?
I think they say it's 90. I think they say 99% fail after 1. Yeah. So we're I think we're a little past 35 now, or right around there. So yeah, but nice. That was it though. I mean, I know Will and I had a big conversation up front when we started this on how consistent we wanted to be once we started. Yeah, publishing episodes every week. We wanted to make sure we never stop because we wanted our audience to depend on us and be able to depend on us as well as our guests to know that this is a real deal for us. We take this seriously and want to create value and provide value. So people, I feel like that just do it when they feel like it. Then people don't take it quite as seriously versus, hey, you guys put out episodes every single week.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing like what I'm doing that you guys are doing. Because like Sam, maybe we would have met eventually, but we met quickly because you came to a meetup and then you told me about the podcast.
Right.
So it just expedites everything.
I know that's cool you brought that up because that's really what initiated the whole thing. I talked about the podcast. You told me you're interested. Then through that, I learned about your meetup. Will learned about your meetup. Now we're all connected and and friends now. But it's all just from going to meetups, putting yourself out there, telling them what you do, and it's a great read. I mean, that right there is why people should have meetups and go to meetups.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, totally. And kind of with that being said, gonna give a big shout out to Clean Eats, where hopefully we'll be having a couple meetups coming up soon, kind of like what Sam was just mentioning, and then just huge shout out to Mike, not only just crushing it in his own business, but being able to put Pensacola deal finders together and making it happen to where we're making these cool connections. I mean, it's so inspiring. So kind of in closing, I know that you were saying that you had this core group that you kind of built off of. But if someone wanted to kind of start something like this, because I know we were talking offline, there's some larger cities where there's a meetup every single day, or at least 3 to 4 times a week. And that's something that I think everyone could benefit from in our local area. What were some of the biggest struggles or those hard things to kind of overcome? And if I was a new person and I wanted to do and start a meetup, what's some of the best advice you could give them that you've kind of learned throughout this past year, starting your own?
I would just say start something that you're passionate about. Like I flip houses, so I wanted to gear it towards bringing wholesalers in. Smart. And anything that supports flipping houses. Bryce Thigpen, that's come a lot. He does a lot of subject too. So he's thinking about starting a meetup just for guys that do creative financing. So if you can be the expert in that subject matter, then you're going to want to go because it provides value back to you. And then you can share that knowledge with other people. So whatever that is, I mean, we choose our own adventure in life. So it's like, you don't have to do what you think other people are going to like. Do what you like.
Dude, that's really great because we were just talking to Bryce actually, and I think he started an online meetup, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah,
so I started a group through a school. SK.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So that's such a great point that you made there. It's like there's going to be a ton of people, and you're going to make some people happy and some people not as thrilled based off of whatever they're trying to get out of it. And you can't make everyone happy, but if you can focus on how it's going to help your business, and then you can help other people by the knowledge you're acquiring, it's going to naturally create that foundation to get bigger and bigger. I think that was rock solid advice. No, I love that, man.
No, there's definitely riches and niches, and so I definitely think that especially with the internet these days, that if you put out, the specific niche, that you're following, you will attract a large group of people, if there's something to it, because I mean, there's like I said, there's so many people out there you can reach now with the internet to, bring people in, to your circle.
So Bryce is starting a thing on school. Is that what you said?
Yes, yeah. He currently has a free group on school. So anyone who's interested in learning more about subject to and creative financing is definitely recommended to go check out that. Bryce was on a previous episode on our podcast with his girlfriend Vivian, but he'll be coming back, which his next episode will probably air towards the beginning of April. But he'll be coming back to do a solo episode with Will, where they'll be deep diving on a lot more stuff. So definitely excited to have Bryce back on here in the next probably a little bit over a month.
And I was really just mentioning that because some people might not have the same personalities as you, Mike, and might be a little bit reserved, or they might get shut down, like with the coffee shop, and saying like, oh man, every place that I go, they're going to try and charge me, and I'm just trying to help other people. And that was kind of why I mentioned that he started something online, and he just used social media and things like that, and just would meet at certain times, and he did an online one. So there's a whole bunch of ways that people connect. I think it is really cool being able to make a handshake to do a deal. Like I really liked what you mentioned earlier. But some people might have a different attitude or observation on it. So there's other opportunities, but being able to do that kind of with Mike's advice, just saying like, get out there, find something that interests you, because it is a lot of work and there's a lot of things to get going. So if it already interests you, it's probably going to make it a lot easier to put in that extra work, emailing, mailing, connecting with other people on social media and things like that. So, man.
Will, let me add on that. So you mentioned like personality types, and, technically if you look at my personality type, I'm an introvert, but, I become an extrovert when I'm in a position of authority. And then if I'm passionate about it, I can talk all day about it. So I prefer the one-on-one conversations specifically. And I guess it kind of reflects in my group setting. But I would just say like, you can't let that hold you back. You have to adapt your group that you feel comfortable in. And like, I don't prepare for any presentations I do. It's like in college, you'd have to memorize all this stuff, right? But you don't have to memorize things when you live it daily. You can speak about it freely. It just comes off the cuff, so don't let that hold you back.
No, great advice. I think to echo you as well, that's what I love about this podcast, man. It's like we'll have some preliminary things to kind of chat about, but then we're kind of diverting and divulging into deeper conversations and things like that definitely aren't on the basic level of topics, just because we're passionate about it. And the coolest part is just getting to know people at a deeper level, kind of like what you said. It's anytime we do these podcasts, it's pretty intimate, right? It's just Sam, myself, and then maybe one or two other people at max, and we get to learn and kind of do deep dives on people's stories that even if you think you know them, you hear all kinds of new things, and it's been pretty cool. So, dude, you have any other last words or advice? This has been a really cool one about being able to get a mastermind and a meetup started.
What's some advice you give to someone new wanting to start a meetup?
I think what a cool meetup would be to walk through a rehab of somebody or a build that somebody's doing. I would love to see that. I know the Professional Investors Guild does it every now and then. Yeah. And I think that's whenever it's like real life knowledge that we're talking about and not theories, that attracts me. I do get kind of bored in seminars sometimes because it's just like I've heard the stuff before, but there's unique situations and specific deals that are new. You know, as a real estate agent, we say like every deal has some kind of hurdle that you have to hop over. So what is that hurdle that we could talk about? And I think that'd be a cool meetup theme, is to walk through a specific project and talk about it. We've done it a few times, even at mine, where we have one person who's doing a rehab and they disclose all their numbers. And we look at it, and then I could be like, well, I usually pay for this. Like, I usually pay this amount for that. Can you share me your guy? You know, but I can get this at a lesser discount. Here's the guy I use for that. You know, so that there's a monetary value to that group. You know,
Right.
Totally. No, that's sick. Actually, I'm thinking about that now because in new construction, there's a couple like major steps where we could kind of build, and they take, a couple weeks in between each, like, prepping the foundation. If you have to put a septic in or something like that, then, building the block or prepping the footers. If you're doing a monolithic slab, being able to walk the slab, doing all your dimension measurements, then framing it. We could have a meeting during framing, talk about.
We could definitely host your group up at some of our construction sites. We only charge a like and subscribe button to our podcast.
I'm just thinking, like, what if you guys started a group just how to build houses, and then you think about how many people that come across land deals that don't, like, they're a wholesaler that just work houses and they get land, they don't know what to do with it.
Sure.
But then they're like, oh, Will and Sam are the experts in this. I know that because I've been to their group. I'm gonna go pitch this land at their group.
Dude, I think we just came up with the next Pensacola Mastermind, or at least Meetup.
Instead of we buy houses, we build houses.
That's right.
Hey, I love it.
Right.
So
we got trademark that before this episode is released.
First here, folks.
Yeah. So, well, dude, man, I can't express our gratitude enough, especially meeting with us on a holiday and taking time out of your day. I know things are rocking and rolling for you, but I look forward to seeing you in the latter part of this week. And yeah, man, thanks so much.
Yeah. Where can people reach out to you if they have a deal to share with you, or just want to get it more information about everything that you do?
Yeah, or come to your group, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So my group meets Thursdays at 4:15 at the district. We end at 5:30, and so that's every Thursday.
That's district in Pensacola, Florida, downtown Pensacola. Just for listening.
Downtown Pensacola. Just shoot me your email and I'll put you on the list. My email is mike@hambyhousing.com. My cell phone number is 850-607-3207. I'm really trying to pump up my social media. So we're doing a lot of advertising on there now. And you can find me at mulletmanbuyshouses.com. We're putting out a lot of fun videos. I'm like walking through the house and telling you exactly what we're doing. And it's interesting. I'm enjoying it. So check it out.
That's sick.
That definitely sounds like some value right there. Anytime you have someone willing to walk through a flip with you and show you stuff, definitely value. So definitely recommend you follow Mullet Man Buys Houses so that way you can learn more.
Yeah,
no doubt. Sam, where do people find us, and then where are they going to find out about our new meetup?
Right. So everyone can find out more information about our podcast at the EliteRealEstatePodcast.com. We are putting out episodes every week. I definitely, we just started a new Facebook page, the Elite Real Estate Podcast Facebook page. That will be where we will eventually put meetup information whenever we have it. We'll have it on the website too, but obviously it's very easy for us to create Facebook events as a way to kind of start it off. So definitely recommend everyone go into our Facebook page and giving us a like and follow there at the Elite Real Estate Podcast Facebook page. Again, that page is brand new, so we're still adding stuff to it. But that is where we will definitely be putting information about once we finally do launch our meetup. But again, please go to the EliteRealEstatePodcast.com. And on there, we also have a input section where if you have a deal you're looking at or have a deal that you're interested in selling to us, you can put that in there as well. And then if you want to reach out to me personally, feel free to go to my Instagram, Sam_Florida Man. So that is my personal Instagram. But feel free, like I said, just go to the eliterealestatepodcast.com to message us, contact us, and please follow our new Facebook page.
Cool.
Did I leave anything out, Will?
No, just thanking Mike for being on. Appreciate you, dude.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you at the meetup this week.
All right, see you later.
Thanks.